Radical idea. All of these conditions were imposed on companies that received funding from the CARES Act and passed the Senate by a 96-0 vote.
Here is the breaking news from the Biden administration. The lawmakers from the Senate are meeting to discuss a new action plan just to tackle the U.S. debt ceiling. Democrats have already proposed sending at least one more relief check to $1,000. So, millions of people in South Carolina are expected to receive a one-time income tax rebate of up to $700. Payments started going out via printed debit card and paper check and direct deposits as well, all through the start of November. However, it will continue through the end of the year and into next year, 2023. But now, folks, South Carolina is hardly the only state giving taxpayers a reason to rush to the mailbox. Massachusetts began refunding $3 billion in surplus tax revenue to residents this month. Illinois is also doing the same, issuing $50 and $100 of income tax rebates. Income tax refund checks of up to $800 started going out to South Carolina taxpayers back in November, and any resident who paid taxes will receive a rebate, with the amount increasing based on their tax liability, up to an $800 cap per filing. It's a full refund for those who paid $800 or less, which includes 33% of taxpayers. The rebates are being issued per person, and regardless of whether you filed individually or jointly, those who do not pay income taxes, which is around 45% of South Carolina residents, will not receive a check. The main taxpayers, well, who have filed their 2021 state tax returns and have an adjusted gross income of less than $100 grand, were eligible for an $850 direct check this year as well. Couples filing jointly received a single payment of $1,700, which is a ton of money. New Mexico is also being issued a rebate to all taxpayers. The payments are just broken into parts. The first sent out in June, the second in August, and now the third payment coming right now this month. The state also issued $250 in rebates in July to taxpayers who filed individually. Married couples filing jointly with incomes received $500, and both friends. The lawmakers in both the House and Representatives, and as well as the Senate, are concerned about how the inflation is affecting millions of Americans. It has led to an increase in stimulus proposals, and now Chuck Schumer told reporters that the Senate will need to address the nation's debt ceiling in coming weeks. Schumer vowed to tackle it and other major issues in a productive session before the current Congress ends. At a news conference, Schumer said the debt ceiling is of course something we have to deal with, and it's something that we will look at over the next few weeks. Democratic leaders in the Senate will move forward with this week, and now, today, a senior advisor to President Biden said the administration is going to win the legal battle over the student debt administration lawsuit. They have said that the Biden administration's student loan forgiveness program is actually constitutional. So now, during an appearance on CBS News, sources note that millions of young voters expect the Democrats to win 2024. But now, after the administration said this, they added that, make no mistake about it, President Biden made a commitment to people in America. It's not just about young people, it's also about people of every age. We will prevail in the court, and at the point we will swiftly move to make sure that we get over 26 million people the money they need. And the lawsuit against the Biden administration was filed last month. And now, on behalf of one borrower who is ineligible for the relief program and another who is not eligible for the full $20,000, Biden's administration and the student debt relief program would include $10,000 in loan forgiveness just for borrowers who make less than $125 grand annually, and up to $20,000 for Pell Grant recipients. We have a new fourth stimulus check that's eligible for you to get. The lawmakers expect to send out 100,000 payments this year. Some Americans have already until the end of this year to apply to receive the money. And also, here is an update on the fourth stimulus check. Eligible Americans in Delaware who have not gotten a rebate have until the end of November just to apply for this year's relief check. Right now, the state has sent over 780,000 checks worth $300, and taxpayers and thousands of more are qualified for the payment.
The senator from Vermont.
I am really delighted that my colleague from Florida is suddenly concerned about transfers of wealth. I really am. Because as he may or may not know, over the last 30 years, there has been a massive transfer of wealth. Problem is, it has gone in the wrong direction. We're talking about the shrinking of the middle class. We're talking about trillions of dollars going to the top 1%. And we are ending up in a situation today where you have billionaires, you have large corporations that don't pay a nickel in federal taxes.
As he's discussed it, it's a possible yes from both parties. Now, Mike Lux, a Democrat strategist, said when it comes to the GOP side of things, Republicans are trying to run out the clock by pulling Manchin into energy negotiations and away from spending time on elements of Biden's Build Back Better agenda. So a group of 26 House Democrats piled more pressure on Manchin and Schumer to strike a deal by penning a letter last month warning that constituents will see a spike in health insurance premiums unless Congress extends premium tax credit enhancements. Mike Lux said it's critical to pass a budget reconciliation package to get a few more of Biden's domestic priorities enacted, especially legislation to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies that are due to expire. A group of 26 House Democrats piled more pressure on Manchin and Schumer to strike a deal by writing a letter last month warning that constituents will see a spike in health insurance premiums unless Congress extends premium tax credit enhancements. Schumer met with Manchin at least twice in his office before Memorial Day, and the Democratic leader said he's not going to give up locking down what Manchin's vote is. And Manchin has given Democrats hope by saying that at a minimum, Congress should be able to pass prescription reform. Speaking at an event in West Virginia, Manchin and Democrats must pass legislation to lower prescription prices before the midterm elections. Democratic strategists say getting just a few pieces of Biden's agenda passed would get a major boost to vulnerable Democratic senators and Republicans and representatives that are in the midterm elections. Now, President Biden just announced his administration had secured 33 million bottles of safe infant formula. It is an announcement from Twitter. The president shared that over 127 million bottles of safe infant formula are heading to U.S. shelves as soon as possible. The announcement comes amid a baby formula shortage stemming from a Michigan plant closing over contamination concerns. The Biden administration has taken over other actions in response to the shortage, including the Defense Production Act, creating a consent decree with the FDA to reopen a nutrition facility, and issuing FDA guidance to import formula that is not being produced in the United States. On Thursday, the White House launched a new website that tracks the actions the administration is taking to get more baby formula to shelves. The administration had previously launched Operation Fly Formula Mission to airlift formula from Europe and Australia to further combat the shortage. The administration announced a third and fourth wave of this mission, that will begin shipping baby formula next week. Federally chartered planes are bringing millions of bottles of the popular UK brand to America. Lawmakers have announced that the budget surplus is big enough to give Americans a $1,000 stimulus check. So as California mulls whether it's possible to send another round of stimulus checks out to deal with a massive projected budget surplus, one lawmaker made the case for more tax rebates. The Republican State Senator Brian Jones used grains of rice to break down the projected budget surplus, which is estimated at $45 billion. According to the state senator, the amount is not enough to send every Californian a tax rebate of $1,100 or $4,500.
As many